Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm hanging out at Hosa Cable in Buena Park, California with my good friend Dylan Newens.
How's it going, Glenn?
Not too bad. So we're gonna do like the shortest, most exciting video we possibly can on cables, because this is just a big room full of boxes.
A lot of cardboard.
Utterly thrilling.
Riveting.
You guys reached out to me a couple years ago and said, hey, you want to check out some of our stuff. Now, the thing I know about Hosa is, back in the 90s when I was first building my place, I'd buy Hosa cable because that's all I could afford. It was kind of the cheaper stuff. You guys have really stepped up your game.
Pro Series and Edge Series cables.
Right. The Edge Series cable especially was what really surprised me. I didn't know Hosa actually made stuff like that. And you were just telling me it's not actually new. You've had it out for quite some time.
Yeah, we've actually had it for a number of years, but when you kind of get a reputation for being a brand that makes sort of affordable type of cables and adapters and stuff like that, when you start to come out with more upgraded and kind of expensive items, it takes a little bit longer for the market to really kind of embrace it and come around. So that's definitely where artists and YouTubers and people have come in to really help, just to let the consumer know that, hey, these options are out there, they're available, it's good stuff. And you guys use it all the time, so you can attest personally for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's the thing at Spectre. I completely rewired my drum room with the Edge Series cable. It's fantastic. And you guys have this giant fucking speaker cable for amps and cabs and stuff, and it's just massive, and it's fantastic. And that's in your Edge Series as well, is it not?
It is. It uses a 12 gauge conductor, so it's a pretty thick boy.
Okay, so now for those of us who don't know what 12 gauge means, how's that work for wire gauges? What should we be looking for? Isn't it the lower the number, the bigger the gauge?
Correct. So in our speaker cables, at least for Edge, we use a 12 gauge conductor, which means it's actually considerably thicker than you would typically find in a guitar cable, so which you would use like a 20 gauge conductor. And that's the tricky thing, is the larger the number of the conductor, the smaller it is. And the conductor is the copper wire that goes from one end of the cable into the other that you solder to the connector, and that's what transmits the signal back and forth.
Now, why do you have to use a dedicated speaker cable instead of a guitar cable or like a patch cable? Why should you be using a speaker cable between your amp and your cabinet?
Because you're transmitting not only signal but also power. So you can actually damage your amp and your electronics by using a smaller cable like an instrument cable. And there are some people who have done that and can get away with it for periods of time, but obviously the more power you're transmitting, the more likely you are to damage your electronics by having an inferior conductor.
So hopefully that clears up a question that nobody asked, but I've always kind of wondered myself. So you guys do 3 different types of mic cable. You've got what's your medium brand called?
The Pro Series.
Okay, the Pro Series was pretty impressive as well. Nice connectors on that. And what type of connectors are on those?
Those are Rants, which is actually made by Neutrik. Okay. So
those were kind of impressive. They're like indented, and they're actually a little bit more comfortable to hold, believe it or not. But yeah, not too bad. Now, the other thing is, you guys just don't make cables. You guys make adapters of every kind. And I've got those all over my studio. XLR to quarter inch to XLR, male to female, vice versa, just everything. All my DB25 snakes for my patch bay are all Hosa, and that really cleaned up the back of my desk big time, man. Like, I'm super impressed with that stuff.
Yeah, cable management is super important, and especially for somebody who works in pro audio in a studio, you can attest to keeping things tidy and organized and easy to bounce from one thing to another, especially when you have like a patch bay. Like, it just saves a whole bunch of time and work.
So one of my absolute favorite things you guys make is the most ridiculous thing ever. It's the Hosa cable ties. They're these Velcro straps. They sent me like a 50 pack, and it was just, I was like, yes! I spent an entire night just wrapping up cables and cleaning up my studio, so thank you for that.
Yeah, it's really those little things that you don't even think about that end up actually being like super important and needed, but you don't think about it because it's not sexy. I mean, even as unsexy as cables are, we tend to think about like our amps and our compressors and things like that, and you don't realize how useful these teeny tiny little innocuous things become.
Absolutely. You guys have definitely saved my ass. All right, so that's it from Buena Park, California. Just want to say thank you very much to my good friend Dylan here at Hosa Tech. And if you guys need accessories and you need shit to go from point A to point B with minimal dicking around, check out the Hosa stuff. It's absolutely fucking killer. Thanks again, Dylan.
Thank you, Glenn. Thanks for stopping by. Take care, guys.